The man who launched Hotmail.com has another technological breakthrough in his sights. We're here to find out what that is. My name is Shayan Shakeel. I'm joined with Eddie Taylor. Welcome to Inside AB. Eddie, you had a conversation with one of the most famous names in technological history over the last 20 years. It's actually one of the features in this week's Arabian Business. What did you guys talk about? What is Sabeer Bhatia up to?
Well, it was a wide-ranging conversation and we talked about so many different elements, and he's a real serial entrepreneur, so he's got ideas tumbling out of his mouth all of the time.
Right.
We talked about two ideas in particular, and one of which is he's already at a pilot scheme at the moment. He's ready to deploy it, and it's based around the so-called Internet of Things, which is the network of devices that speak to each other. Unlike the internet, which is humans interacting with each other over the network, this is about devices communicating binary data to each other, and that's what he's working on right now.
Now, Internet of Things, everybody's talking about the Internet of Things, but what is he actually doing?
What he's actually doing, he's realized that devices like our mobile phones require a lot of bandwidth in order to communicate data. They're concerned with speed, and they're concerned with the depth of information that is being transferred between them. He thinks that the Internet of Things requires a much lower level network. So a device that's communicating very binary data, it doesn't need that big cellular telephone network because it's going to consume too much energy.
Interesting.
So he's looking at very small devices with low battery power that can exist for sort of 10 years without needing to be charged. We charge our phones every day, don't we?
Right.
But these devices really can't be working on that. So he's looking at things to implement in the agricultural sphere in India. And this is an idea that he's come upon whereby Indian farmers on average take a trip every 2 days to their field, a 4-kilometer round trip, and what they're really doing is just basically checking how much water their crops need, or have they got enough fertilizer. If he can put an app in the soil that can communicate to him, does his crops need more water? Do they need more fertilizer? That's going to save not only an enormous amount of labor time, it's also going to deliver the precise amount of water and the precise amount of fertilizer to those crops. That's going to increase yields by 10%, which is phenomenal progress that can be made in India. When you think of 50-60% of the entire workforce in India is employed in agriculture. So the potential gains of this network are really quite extraordinary.
Wow. So, I mean, as you mentioned, there's a large agri-economy, 21st century farming technique, and the one thing India does have a lack of is energy and power. But how is he going to make this happen?
Well, what he's looking at, and he's actually already got a trial in progress right now, so we should be able to get some very real data soon. What he's talking about is giving 140 million farmers in India 2 devices to put them in their fields. And they're going to tell him, the on, off, all of this kind of stuff. He only needs to sell 14 million devices in order to be profitable. He's already working with an Indian cooperative that's going to target 55 million farmers. So this has the potential to be a really, really game-changing piece of technology and a game-changing investment for the partners he's already talking to. And this isn't just about selling units to farmers. This is about improving yields. This is about saving chemicals, about saving water. These are the real benefits of having this kind of technology, AI-powered really, that's telling you what your crops need, what the soil is doing, what the environmental temperature is at every single moment of the day, to say, yes water, yes fertilizer, or no water, no fertilizer. The yields and the impacts on the farmers is going to be potentially massive.
Low-powered cellular network technology. Now, there's a lot of scale here because there's probably a lot of applications that need just those simple tasks and messages to be conveyed over a very low-powered network.
Well, he's been doing a lot of different work in this field, and I think the Indian agricultural example is the one that he's just implemented first. It certainly wasn't the one he started thinking about.
Right.
He's already trialing something in, I think it's the University of California in San Diego, a campus safety device for students and for lecturers, whereby it's an RFID-powered card, smart card, that tracks where you are at any one particular time. Obviously, campus safety has been in the news a lot in America recently. And this very simple card can tell people where you are, can create an alarm if you're in any kind of trouble. And he thinks that there are hundreds of applications for this kind of technology. A smart lock to tell you if your lock at home has been compromised in any way. A piece of equipment that can tell you if there's a gas leak or if there's smoke or fire. Again, this is devices able to talk to each other on very basic bits of information, but that can have profound impact.
Right, Sabeer Bhatia, ever the entrepreneur. But one of the things that he's also got his hands in, if you will, is education. He's a board member at Caltech, and education is a big part of what he does. What is he doing now with it?
I mean, he was very, very clear about this. He basically said that the schools and colleges in the Manassa region are failing their students. They are simply not giving students the tools they need to enter the modern workplace. So he's come up with an idea called the nano-degree, and that's taking the best and most recent lessons from Silicon Valley and incorporating them into a short course, maybe 2 or 3 months, maybe only part-time, in which very specific skills in coding, in blockchain, in artificial intelligence can be transferred. And you can either work with colleges or work with companies in which a certain specific skill set, which aren't on the curricula at universities or colleges, can be developed and delivered so that workers, when they enter the workforce, are instantly ready to take on tomorrow's challenges. Really interesting stuff. And he actually thinks we might be in a position to see something move on this by the end of the year.
And this is probably pretty important in this region as well. I mean, there's a skilled labor deficit looming. Retrain is a refrain that we keep hearing all the time.
I mean, also in this week's Arabian Business, we've actually got a graph that shows the mix matching skill sets for the emerging next generation of workers. So this is a huge issue, and again, this is technology having a real social impact. I think his view is the technology is important, but having the people able to participate in those technologies is just as important.
Right. Coming back to Sabeer Bhatia, he just doesn't slow down, does he?
He doesn't slow down at all. Again, I think we'll probably move on and have another conversation in 6 months when another era-defining idea will come along. But yeah, he's irrepressible as ever.
Wow. So Hotmail wasn't the end of it. Thanks for joining us on this edition of Inside AB. Thank you, Eddie, for your insights and your conversation with Sabeer, and we look to hear from you even more about it in the future. Remember to subscribe and comment below, and tune in tomorrow for the next edition of Inside AB. Thank you for watching.